Robservations with Robert, Meyer, Burnett.
Well, greetings, imagination connoisseurs. Once again, it is I, your Duke of Dope Discourse, your master of fun and wonder, your viceroy of verisimilitude. Midnighter turns 21 tonight. It can drink. Yes, that's right. This is the 21st episode of Midnighter, and I'm still doing this show. You know why I'm doing this show? Because of you. You imagination connoisseurs, you members of this, the Post-Geek Singularity. Obviously, you all know this, but you are the best audience on YouTube. You know it, I know it, we all know it, really. I don't have to tell anyone. And, one of the things I like about doing the Midnighter show is I like delving into more, political issues on this show, I guess. But I'm finding that more and more imagination connoisseur issues of the day suddenly are political. And it's very strange. We live in strange times. I wonder if people really understand what's important in life. There's a lot of times I feel that maybe people really don't get it, and today was one of those times. So if any of you have been hiding under a rock and don't exactly know what I have been talking about, there is a little controversy that's suddenly erupted. I guess 41 years wasn't long enough to evade that kind of controversy, but apparently, as we all know, as it was introduced in The Empire Strikes Back in May of 1980, Boba Fett's ship is called the Slave One. Now, maybe in Tales of the Bounty Hunters or some visual guidebook tells you where the hell this name Slave One came from, but maybe it could have been a protest name. Maybe Jango Fett, he thought he was sort of the first slave. We don't know why he was on Camino with the cloners. I mean, it was kind of, doing people's bidding, but maybe he was the first slave. Maybe he thought of himself that way, and it was a name he took to maybe liberate himself. We don't really know. Maybe we do, and it's canonical. I didn't bother looking it up, and it's been a long time since I read Tales of the Bounty Hunters or Tales of the Mos Eisley Cantina. I mean, sue me. There's only so much time in the day that I have to deal with this. Well, apparently, they don't want to call the Slave One anymore, I guess because of its connotation. I mean, it's not like human beings haven't been taking slaves since the dawn of time. I know that America's legacy of slavery is different than, say, Rome's. Rome would conquer a territory and they just take half the people there and turn them into slaves. It wasn't an issue of race, it was just conquest and people. But there's been slaves since really pretty much human beings could figure out that, you needed other human beings to do manual labor. Then we started enslaving one another. We're a great bunch, aren't we? But I understand in this day and age what it means in the United States. It's different than if you go back and you look at the long thousands of years of history of human slavery. I get that it means something different here in America, but it's funny because apparently our understanding of these things only goes back as far as we're concerned, even though it goes back a lot further. But I just thought it was interesting that, So let me read this article. I took this out of, I don't even remember where this is from. Where did I get this? I mean, it was covered everywhere, but here's IGN's article today. Disney drops the Slave One name in favor of, quote, Boba Fett's starship. See, first of all, are they fooling anyone? Yeah, Boba Fett's starship. I guess that's what they're going to put on the actual boxes of things. They're not going to call it the Slave One anymore, which, I mean, is anybody fooling anyone here? Like, is this where we're at as a culture? We're going to rename the Slave One to Boba Fett's starship. Boba Fett's starship, the Slave One? Anyway, even years after George Lucas sold the Star Wars franchise to Disney, new changes continue to be made to the original trilogy. The latest tweak, Boba Fett's ship is apparently no longer called the Slave One. Star Wars fans noticed the change thanks to the announcement of a new Mandalorian-themed Lego set featuring the iconic vehicle. Rather than calling it the Slave One, the set is simply named Boba Fett's Starship. Jedi News spoke with LEGO designers Jens Kronvold Fredrickson and Michael Lee Stockwell, who confirmed the change was requested directly by Disney. Everybody is, said Fredrickson. It's probably not something which has been announced publicly, but it is something that Disney doesn't want to use anymore. Based on his comments, it would seem Disney is uncomfortable with the term slave being associated with one of the most popular Star Wars characters. By the way, this is not the first time the word slave has been banished from use in the Star Wars universe. Slave Leia is no longer called Slave Leia. She's now called Hutt Slayer Leia, which is also sort of problematic. I mean, Jabba the Hutt did enslave her in his palace. She is chained up, literally. But let's celebrate the fact that she kills a sentient being. She kills Jabba the Hutt. So she's better off being Hutt Slayer Leia than Slave Leia. What's interesting is she's still wearing, whatever you want to call her, she's still wearing the hot metal bikini, and she still murders Jabba the Hutt. But this kind of messaging is strange to me. What is it really saying? What are we doing here? Are we trying to pretend that she wasn't in a metal bikini and literally chained up to Jabba himself? It's very odd. Though Boba Fett has traditionally been portrayed as a villain in the franchise, his more heroic turn in The Mandalorian Season 2 may have something to do with this change. We'll have to see whether or not the ship's name comes up in the spin-off series, The Book of Boba Fett. It's also worth remembering that this doesn't necessarily mean the ship's name is changed in the Star Wars universe. Disney could be keeping the Slave One title as part of the official canon, but will refrain from using the branding on any all-ages merchandise. That would be similar to Marvel's approach to the X-Men villain Holocaust, who is normally renamed Nemesis whenever an action figure is released. Nor would this be the first case of Disney removing a controversial Star Wars element from its merchandising empire. In 2015, we learned Disney was phasing out the use of the Slave Leia costume from Return of the Jedi. Do you think Disney made the right call here? Do you have any ideas for a new permanent name for the Slave One? No, that is its permanent name. Let us know what you think in the comments below. Now, there's another article that dropped later today that I wanted to share with you. That's kind of amusing. The actor who played Boba Fett in Star Wars, actually, that's not Jeremy Bulloch, who passed away, but I guess that would be the Star Wars they reshot in 1977, or from the 97 version. The actor who played Boba Fett in Star Wars has slammed Disney for changing the name of his character's spaceship, Slave One, in its LEGO merchandise. Mark Anthony Austin has criticized the company for renaming the ship for new LEGO toys. My ship will forever be the Slave One. Nothing, not even Disney, can or will change that. How could it be your ship when the Slave One doesn't really appear in Star Wars? Ah, well. This is the way, tweeted Austin on June 28th. My ship will forever be Slave One. Nothing, not even Disney, can or will change that. This is the way. That's a way to get yourself into the news again, sir. Star Wars fan website Jedi News spoke to members of the LEGO Star Wars design team at the LEGO Fan Media Day recently, where the name change was confirmed. We're not calling it Slave One anymore. This is Boba Fett's Starship, Michael Lee Stockwell, LEGO Star Wars lead designer, told the publication. His colleague, Jens Kronvold Fredrickson, LEGO Star Wars design director, added, it's probably not something, again, which has been announced publicly, but it's something that Disney doesn't want us to use anymore. Newsweek reached out to Disney for comment. Austin played Fett in a special edition of Star Wars A New Hope and is quite unhappy with Star Wars' new parent company Disney messing with the canonical elements of the beloved franchise. He blasted the name change in a number of tweets on Monday, with another one reading, Wars. Sounds harsh, says Disney. Let's change the franchise name to Star Disputes. I'm coming for you, Disney execs, he said in another tweet. Mark Anthony Austin, just a professional tip here. Probably not the best use of Twitter for you. Just saying. Disney has been striving to acknowledge insensitive cultural depictions in its works for some time now. Streaming platform Disney Plus now has restrictions on classic films such as Dumbo, Peter Pan, The Aristocats, because they contain racist and culturally insensitive depictions. Other titles with the content warning include Swiss Family Robinson, Fantasia, The Jungle Book, and Lady and the Tramp. Disney explains this move on its Stories Matter website, where it says the restrictions are part of efforts to review its library and add advisories to content that includes negative depictions or mistreatment of people or cultures. Because, Boba Fett is such an altruistic young man. He travels the highways and byways of the galaxy, righting wrongs and helping the innocent. However, instead of just removing titles with offensive material, Disney says it sees an opportunity to spark conversation and open dialogue on history that affects us all. Well, that's good. We also want to acknowledge that some communities have been erased and forgotten altogether, and we're committed to giving voice to their stories as well. You know what? Like the entire population of Alderaan. I can see that. I understand Disney's point. Some communities have been erased or forgotten altogether. Alderaan has. It's been totally blown away. It's impossible. 1,000 starships. Hey, man, what can I say? It happened. It's a bummer. What can you do? But I understand that everyone wants to be culturally sensitive. But you know what? I feel that being culturally sensitive and being mindful of what's going on in the world seems, I don't know, when you start renaming starships, it does seem a little trivial. That if you really want to affect change, you can affect change right now. There's things that you can do. There all kinds of work, but is changing the name of a starship, a fictional starship that doesn't really exist, whose name hasn't really been defined, it's tough. I don't know, man. I don't know what to think. But you know what I do think? I think you guys can come in and tell me. If you've got a video camera or you got a webcam hooked up and you got a decent microphone, I invite you to look in the live link on this show and join us, as the Evil Dead would say. But if you have been on the show before, maybe hang back and see if somebody who hasn't been on the show before will show up. I know everybody likes to come on the show, and I love having you. But it's always nice to get somebody I don't know on the show. So here you go. The link is live. I really want to know, what do you think about the Slave One? I mean, hey, Slave One, human rights abuses in China. What do you think there, Disney? Where are you going to put your money where your mouth is, huh? What's more important? What do you think should be done? I don't know. Josh G sends in a tip and says, I took drugs. And you know what? I had a damn good time. I didn't kill, beat, rape, rob anyone. I didn't lose my job. I just laughed and had a good time. The frying egg in the pan isn't my brain. It's breakfast. Alex is here. Alex Montano is here. All the way from, hold on, he can't hear me because there's no audio mix. But bam, now he can hear me. Couldn't hear me there for a minute. And Alex is a big Star Wars fan, and he's not an American. And I think that Alex will have I think Alex is going to have something to say about this. I know it. I think he will. And I'm going to bring him on. I'm going to bring Alex onto this show, and we're going to talk a little Slave One action. You know, I realized I should have brought my beautiful Code 3 die-cast Slave One that weighs like 20 pounds. It's right over there. It's one of my favorite things. I should have, and I didn't. I mean, I could go get it, but or not. I'm gonna put Alex in this show. I'm gonna put him in coach, and we're gonna talk. We're gonna talk a little. Hold on a second, Alex. You're almost in. I'm having technical difficulties. Don't blame me. It's the Empire. Somehow, it is the Empire. I'm always blaming the evil Empire. But Alex, you're coming to us all the way from Colombia. So welcome, Alex Montano, to the Midnighter. Alex, how are you? How's Colombia today?
Everything's good. Everything's good. I'm gonna get my vaccine pretty soon, so I'm happy. How are you, Rob?
Pretty good. Pretty good. You know, there's going to be a press release this week about what's the disposition of Tango Shalom, which is pretty exciting.
Cool.
I can finally talk about those kinds of things. A lot of stuff. A lot of good things have been happening on a number of different levels. Been very busy all over the place. But yeah, things are good. I'm looking for new projects and all that. So, yeah. So that's always exciting.
To hear that, man.
So it's good.
Yeah.
So what do you think, Alex? Is this
I
much
think
ado
this
about
is.
nothing? I mean, come on. The Slave One's been named the Slave One for 41 years. Is it going to
Oh,
help? Is
sorry,
it going to
Rob.
help? Is it going to help the world if they change the name to Boba Fett's starship? Oh, you mean the Slave One?
I think I think this is one of the most stupid things that Disney has ever done. Really, like slave. Now slave is a bad name. Like first, this is a bad guy, and I was looking today all day. I was like, has there ever been a reason why this name is wrong in the Star Wars universe? Like Anakin is a slave.
So is that Anakin's mother was a slave?
Yeah, and I mean, it's just a name. I don't see anyone being triggered by that name. Like I don't get it.
Well, also, I mean, I think what's bizarre to me about something like this is, yeah, the characters in the movie are slaves. You know that, like you just
Yeah,
astutely pointed out, and it becomes like, okay, are we going to pretend they're not? Is that what we're going to pretend?
yeah,
I don't know. We've got William King joining us. I wonder if we can.
cool.
I don't. We can hear you, William. I can hear you. We'll see if
Hello,
William can come
William.
in and join us. Well, oh, uh-oh. Well, William, I guess he can't join us, but that's okay. We'll let him fix. We'll let him fix it. But anyway, so yeah, let's go back to our conversation. So the Slave One. I mean, why do you think they feel the need? The real question is why the need? What are they accomplishing? Is the word slave triggering, considering, as I pointed out, there's been slavery throughout human history?
It, it's
Or,
it's
I mean, we
so
have slaves
stupid.
in the Star Wars universe, like you pointed out. Anakin and his mother were Watto's slaves. And then
Yeah,
I guess his mother was enslaved by the Sand People.
yeah.
So, and I think there's a reason
You
why
have
Boba.
even in Solo. Sorry, Rob. Even in
Yeah.
the Solo movie, their Wookiees are slaves. Like so, slavery is something that's been going on constantly in the Star Wars universe, even when after Disney bought it. So why are they doing this? I don't understand. Like I don't know. It's
Well,
beyond me.
well, what I find so interesting is now do we live in, like, are we as adults or people in general, are we supposed to fear words and history and culture? I mean, are we not supposed to acknowledge that in here in North America, we had slaves for 400 years. Now, forget whether it's a good or a bad thing. I think slavery of any kind is bad. But we had it for 400 years. There was slavery here longer than America has even existed. And before that, how many thousands of years or hundreds of years did they have slaves in ancient Rome? You know, they were taking slaves all over what used to be that area of the world. It was par for the course. There's still slaves in other parts of the world right now. And it just seems it's a very odd idea that I feel like we as a culture are being infantilized. Like, you hear a word that has any kind of negative consideration or connotation at all, and somehow you can't say the word.
Yeah.
We have Aaron Singh joining us, coming back to the
Hello,
show.
Aaron.
I think I'm going to bring Aaron Singh into this conversation, and we're going to find out, because Aaron Singh is coming to us from somewhere else other than the United States, and I would like to get hit. Well, both of you, neither one of you are in the United States. How interesting is that? I want to hear what you guys have to say, because, Americans, we're fragile people, apparently. We can't take it anymore, One couple 60 or 70 years ago, we'd win World War II, and now we can't have a fictional starship named the Slave One before freaking out.
Yeah.
Well, everybody, welcome Aaron Singh to the show. Aaron, welcome to Midnighter.
What's going on, Rob?
Well, what do you? First of all, where are you coming to us from?
I'm actually from America.
Oh, you are.
But,
You are from America.
yeah,
I
but
just assumed.
my parents are from Fiji,
Ah,
and I think this is funny, man. That Disney wasn't Buena Vista Film? Weren't they called Buena Vista Films at one point?
Well, their release their division that released their films was Buena Vista Releasing. Yeah, but that was that's because they're on a street called Buena Vista.
Right. They released Beloved, the movie Beloved, and it's just amazing that they're gonna pull back so hard at one point when they were releasing. I mean, one of the most shocking movies I've ever seen, depicting slavery. What they're trying to, I'm really confused at that, first of all. And, I'm kind of an outsider when it comes to Star Wars, but from what I saw.
Well, let me ask you this. Why do you say that you're an outsider when it comes to Star Wars?
I feel like I'm not as learned. I have a really good friend who reads a lot of Star Wars novels, and I'm into the comics. I'm into the Vader comics and some of the newer stuff. But it did feel a bit. A few things felt a bit forced in the movie,
so to speak.
The newer movies, and yes, exactly. And
sorry, I couldn't resist.
Of course, and some of it felt very natural, but for them to pull back so hard on something I feel like has been so ingrained in people's psyche, it doesn't make any sense after they've already, like for instance, Beloved, I think it took like 80 million to make, and it only made 22.6 million at the box office, but they still took the freaking risk. They still took the risk of putting out a movie that could offend a lot of people. And as much as the novel's a celebrated book, I mean, some of the things they depicted in the movie that they chose to do were very risque. And, I don't think you have to learn a lesson from that. That's not the reason why that wasn't well received is I don't think it was distributed as well. And I don't think as many people have read the book that would be going to movies all the time. But I definitely think that it was well worth the risk. I mean, Oprah, as an actress, has spread her wings immensely since then. And, the portrayal she did in there was extremely powerful. It changed my mind about watching movies in general. I've been into superhero movies and, sci-fi movies and, all that, but I'm getting into so many different things from watching that movie, from a studio taking a huge risk in releasing something that's taboo. And, for them to pull back on something so small, it feels like it's going to lead to bigger repercussions that, movie studios already have such a weird, not to bring the conversation to Zack Snyder and Batman v Superman, but
you can. That's why why you're here. We can always talk anything that has anything to do with imagination connoisseurs. Nothing is off limits.
Exactly. And so, I saw them take that movie from Apple iTunes and they pulled it off once to reformat the movie to make it match the red tones in Justice League, excuse me. And then they just recently pulled it again. They retracted it for Zach to reformat it in his new kind of boxed version. And that was more of a redemption. But, studios have so much, and to see entities higher than the studios go in and kind of have their hands in things. It's, from everything that's kind of uncovered by the movie industry already, that's kind of like the Red Skull going in there and changing. Like, it feels diabolical, or at some point it's going to be diabolical, and it's scary.
Well, it's the idea that you can't show a swastika in a Marvel movie.
Exactly.
Hydra. Hydra's the scientific division of the National Socialist movement. And so you have the Hydra symbol, and there's not a swastika to be found. And exactly. I find what I really find strange is, I guess when I was growing up, one of the things I watched the most was a sitcom called Hogan's Heroes that was set in a concentration camp, where I'm like that would like never get made today. Somebody would object to it, like you can't have a comedy set in a concentration. Well, it was actually a POW camp, in a POW camp where I mean I feel like dark sardonic humor and irony and all the things that I grew up with are being bled away by people that they're infantilized. They can't take a bad thought. Yes. And I honestly don't understand it. And I don't understand, how are we supposed to compete on the world stage if our population is so immature? Yeah. I mean, it really is immaturity. And I see a lot of people, if they don't, and what it's immaturity coupled with this desire to like go after people. There's a megalomania that like we're going to go get rid of these people that we don't agree with. It's a weird place where people are possessed by the idea that they're doing good. Yeah. And anybody who knows anything about that, therein lies the greatest evil in the world. You know, the people that believe they're the righteous ones. And it's ideological fascism, it's immaturity, and then it's this idea that these people that want to make these changes, they think they're doing something good. They're possessed of this idea that, we're making sure that you can't live in a world where nothing bad happens, where no one says bad things and people don't have bad thoughts. Like, I don't understand what world they think they're creating by getting rid of, like, does that mean you're going to get rid of the idea of slavery? Does the ship name the Slave One? Are we condoning slavery? I mean, no, he's a bounty hunter. He got Han Solo, put him in carbonite and took him to Darth Vader. So, I mean, it's a very weird world that we live in. And I feel that these are the kind of things people should just understand and not worry that, the Slave One, the name of this spaceship is going to be it's going to be such that our children's minds can be forever warped by this. And I don't get it. I mean, I do get it, but I just think it's dangerous and stupid and immature, and it infantilizes all of us. And I hate it. You know, every single thing I've often talked about, like a year ago on my show, if I said I was worried that somebody would come into my house and take a lot of my movie collection, like I always use a Clockwork Orange. Someone's going to watch Clockwork Orange and cancel it because of its depiction of a gleeful depiction of rape. Now, we're not that it's not advocating rape, but the very fact that it's in the movie, someone's going to say, "Oh, you can't watch that." And then these are the people that have never seen Gaspar Noé's Irreversible, so they have no idea what that's about. But I'm like, you know, what are you going to do? Are you going to go back and are you going to eradicate all of human history that's just full of one horrible thing we've done to one another? I mean, no one knows how to commit atrocities better than human beings do, and we've committed them against each other since the dawn of time. And what are you going to do? Try and get rid of all these things? We are a bad bunch of people. We're bad people. And our idea that suddenly we're going to get rid of objectionable ideas, that's our latest idea that we think is a good idea. No. Let's get rid of these things and pretend this never happened. Exactly. No, it did happen. And we need to remember exactly how horrible we are. We can't pretend that we're not. And I feel like literally people want to pull the wool over everyone's eyes and just, no, don't look over there. Only look over this way. You can only think those good thoughts. And I find it, I mean, I know we laugh about it being the Slave One, but to me it's kind of terrifying. The Slave One is just, it creeps in, and then once we get rid of, we have to get rid of every single thing. No, you know what? Life's offensive. Life is dangerous. Life is bloody. Life is disappointing. Life is full of injustice, and it's not going to change. Now, what we're supposed to do is fly in the face of that and make ourselves have a better life, but changing words around. You know, I fell down a rabbit hole today of some British kid who has had plastic surgery to make himself look more like his favorite K-pop band member, Jimin. Of BTS, and he sings songs, and he's 30 years old, but he now, there's a video where he said, I identify as a non-binary 24-year-old, and want you to refer to me as such. And it's like, you're 30, dude. Well, no, I identify as a 24. I'm looking at this kind of thing, and I'm like, really? Is this? I mean, really, I wanted to punch that kid in the face. And I'm not an advocate of violence, but it's like someone like he's gone way over the line. He's now abusing. I mean, the people, marginalized people, deserve a voice, and I have no problem. 100%. However you want to identify yourself, I don't care. I will use your pronouns. I'll however you want me to identify you. I have absolutely no problem with that. None at all. But when it starts to become the law of the land, when people start trying to compel you to change your ways to suit them and then call it, well, oppression, then it starts to get weird.
Yeah, this is like it's like a
that's pretty weird.
You know, yeah, Rob, you were like releasing your inner Ren McCormick right there. That is.
Ooh, nice reference.
You know that, I mean, literally, the world is turning to, and that's basically Fahrenheit 451 with dancing. That movie, you know, They were burning books. They were condemning, and he danced his way to showing those people the way to get out of there. And it's actually it's funny looking at America in a weird way. We're kind of leading into a John Lithgow mentality where it's like, you can't see anything outside this town, or just don't see anything outside this town. Let's just keep it here, read what we want to read, and hopefully these people have a daughter like John Lithgow's in that movie, who is stunning, and I constantly compare my girlfriend to her. And,
to Lori Singer?
Yeah, to Lori Singer. Just amazing.
I love that you just brought up Footloose. I've been doing this show for 2.5 years, and no one has brought up Footloose and the original Footloose in the context that you brought it in. So kudos to you, sir. This is exactly why we do this midnight show.
My first mixed martial arts fight, I came out to the song "Never" from Moving Pictures, and
the Rush album.
Yeah, and I had a sweater on, and I tried to look like Ren and took off my jacket, or took off my sweater like him and threw it. And it was like, it's those movies that it's those movies that pump you up, those soundtracks that pump you up to get you going. That era, 110%. So,
yeah, back when it was, people were like, what I find so interesting is I grew up, I loved horrifying exploitation cinema. The more violent, the more sexual. I was reading books that were so inappropriate. But the lesson that I took away from all these things is, to me, this is horror, and exploitation is all about what human beings are capable of, the degradation. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Now, and it was titillating, but I like these things because I didn't want to be like that. Yeah. That it was a reminder that that these movies, and I still have so many of them, they're a reminder to be better. Mm-hmm. I believe in America. I believe in the human race. I believe in our ability to do great things, to conquer the stars. Mm-hmm. But, to pretend that we're not what we are is a dangerous, dangerous thing. Okay. And what was interesting is I think our civilization was on a pretty good path. We were evolving. We were changing. Things were always getting better. And people act like I was reading, like Bill Maher a couple of weeks back was talking about how bad things used to be. Like even a lot of people are alive today that lived through the Jim Crow South, where whites and blacks couldn't drink at a water fountain or ride the same bus, or, segregation. And we don't have any of that anymore, and while things aren't perfect, we've certainly come a long way. LGBTQ rights, the fact that we have same-sex marriage, there's been a lot of positive cultural advancement, and it was happening naturally because ultimately people realize, I think as our civilization gets more and more, well, we're supposed to, as we get more and more evolved, we understand that treating people well, all people, is the way we should be. That everybody deserves a voice. And everybody deserves the opportunity to live the life that they want to live and that they can make for themselves. And to be part of community. The great strength about America is the idea that we're a melting pot. Not a melting pot for only a few different kinds of people, but a melting pot for everyone. And everyone is supposed to add to the tapestry of this country. And that's what makes America. No other country has the kind of melting pot mentality we do. You know, anybody can come to this country and start a business or do whatever they want, and that's what makes this country great. And yet now, I feel like we've slid back into these weird dark ages where, you know, we have exploding homeless problems that we don't want to do anything about because there's no real profit in it. Our educational system we're teaching for the test. Like all of these things that we used to do, like, for instance, help people that were mentally ill or had addiction issues. We had hospitals where they would go to that we were paying for. Those are all shut down and taken away. And now how do we expect to be better if all we ever do to help people has to have some profit motive behind it, or some evangelical fervor where you're some ideologue that believes you need to think this way because you're going to offend somebody because some word you're going to use. Words are violence. Well, that's for somebody who's never actually lived in a violent society. That's somebody who's never experienced
100%.
real violence in your life. And when you go around and you say words are violent, it's like, move out of your college, go to a third world country, go to some of the worst neighborhoods in Johannesburg where they have rape gangs and things like that. Even today, you don't know what you're talking about because you've never lived anywhere. Talk about privilege. To me, the people that are saying, they're pointing out and calling your privilege out, they're the most privileged people of all. Because if they really had a sense of what really goes on in a lot of places in the world, they wouldn't be saying that to their fellow countrymen.
Yes.
Yeah, they have no idea what fear is.
No, they don't. Not at all.
They have no idea what living in fear is.
No.
It was like my first trip to Brazil. Like the first bus I went on, it got robbed, and I was like, "Oh man, like this is like." And my jiu-jitsu coach was like, "Don't try to be a hero, buddy. You better just give him your shit."
Yeah, they're gonna stab you, man.
Stab you.
They don't give a damn.
They don't give a shit. And you know, there's some places where no one will hear you scream ever again. You'll disappear.
No, they're gonna turn their back. They don't care.
Yeah.
And
They don't care.
it's just because people are too scared.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I that's another thing. I feel that the ultimate luxury we have in this country is to bitch and moan and complain about things like Boba Fett's spaceship's name.
Oh yeah.
Like we have no clue what it's like.
But it even bothers me, and I'm living in a third world country. But still, it's like it's one of those things that is it really something to be concerned about? Like, is it something that you should be worried about when there are many other things in the world that you should be thinking of, like even movies that are actually a matter of concern, not this stupidity. Like, it's a ship, and people love that ship. It's supposed to be like you said it, Rob. It's supposed to make you feel scared when you hear the name, like, oh, the Slave One is coming. Like,
right.
It's not supposed to be rainbows and butterflies.
Mm-hmm.
No,
so dumb. But people tend to, like, even here in Colombia, something that when I met my wife, something that really surprised me is how they were not happy when you talked about Pablo Escobar. They simply hate talking about it. It's like they're in denial of what happened. Not our generation, but the generations that went through that. They just want to not talk about it.
Why do you think? Do they think it's going to go away? Like, do they think that period of time didn't happen? Would they like to just pretend it didn't happen?
Yeah, it's like if I stop mentioning it, it's going to go away.
It's just going to magically disappear. No.
It's not like that. It's not like that. You have to make people know where it is. Even people who come from outside, they need to know. You need to explain to them, like, this guy's not a hero. It's like Hitler. You can't just skip the fact that he was there and he killed 6 million people. This guy was also one of the worst people in the world. You have to show people who he was, not just hide it. And that's something that happens here, and I think it happens everywhere. People are just, nowadays, they are too scared of the truth.
Well, that's what I find so interesting is people want to deny human nature. They want to deny that these things actually happened. And they also want to deny, like, Pablo Escobar, he also partied. Mm-hmm. He had fun. Mm-hmm. We also want to, like, couch the whole thing like he's, uniformly terrible. Sure, was he a ruthless drug lord? Yeah, but he made a lot of money for a lot of people. And by the way, a lot of people did business with him across the planet and got very wealthy. And they had good parties and they met a lot of people. And it's something that, you know, if he was selling a product that wasn't illegal, you know, he would have been one of the most celebrated businessmen ever. So he had to be a ruthless killer because the business he was in, well, leaves a lot of corpses, even to this day. And I think it's so weird that we believe, again, it's the infantilization of humanity. We can't seem to grapple with the reality of our world, that the fact that people like Pablo Escobar really existed. You know, somebody who's like, you know what, that guy's a douche. I want him gone. And he acted. And it's one of the things, like, maybe that's why I love movies so much. Because when you think about a movie like Apocalypse Now, which is about Marlon Brando's character, Walter Kurtz, he goes up the Nung River and sets up his own universe because he's tired of the hypocrisy. You know, he's tired of all the bullshit. I mean, we're fighting this horrible war, and you want to pretend that there's rules? There's no rules. You know, and he finally just said, fuck this, I'm leaving, and I'm going to conduct business the way I see fit. Because if you're going to pretend, and I feel that's what we do. In America, we pretend a lot. We pretend that the ugly side of our nature isn't here, and that somehow by not talking about it, like not talking about Pablo Escobar, it's just going to go away, and we can all pretend like, well, this never happened.
Yeah, I agree. You know, there's like, for instance, there's some movies that really punch home some messages, and I feel like I wouldn't even know about certain subcultures if a movie didn't go there. Like, a big one is American History X, because when I was young, I was skateboarding outside of like a downtown area in the town I live in, and the skinhead dude kicked me off my skateboard. And, you know, like, I tried to karate kick him, and he just, like, smacked the hell out of me. I mean, he was huge, dude. And, I went and told somebody about it, and they were kind of like, didn't those guys fade out in the 80s? Like, aren't they in England? And, there's a lot of, like, confusion about it. And I kind of had to, like, bite the bullet on it. And then I saw American History X, and I was, like, 14 when I was going to punk shows, and I saw some real skinheads, and I was like, dang, this is a movie that is pretty accurate to what goes on in Venice. The hardcore band that they're listening to that was playing, like, I was like, dude, I go to shows like this is crazy. And then the choice at the end, but the interplay between the gangs, all that, it's an education sometimes. And maybe not this topic about the slave ship is close to that, but movies do go there. And there, like, for instance, what's that movie with Scarlett Johansson and God, what's his name? The guy who plays Kylo Ren.
Marriage Story.
A Marriage Story, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, they go pretty hardcore in that movie, yelling at each other, and I'm sure there's some kids who are sitting in the audience going like, "Damn, it looks like my parents." Pretty scary. The movies go there. And why are we complaining about a name on a ship? I've seen 20 J-horror movies in the past week, and they're all pretty grotesque.
Wait, you've gone on a J-horror kick?
Yeah.
Well, okay. Let's back right up. Let's swerve into this. What got you to take a J? What brought you onto a J-horror kick?
Damn, dude. I'm
a huge fan, by the way, of J-horror. So, Aaron, he froze. Hold on, Aaron.
He'll be back.
Yeah, you hang on a second. Let's see.
He'll be back.
God damn it! I have to know what Aaron was gonna say.
The ring got him.
The ring did get him, or The Grudge.
Ringo, yeah. That movie freaked me out so much, but the original one, like what was it called? Ju-on. That one. Yeah, that freaked me out.
Hang on, I'm going to see if I can. I'm going to wait to get him back. And I hope he comes back. I'm not going to let anybody else on except Aaron. Aaron, you got to come back. Come back, Aaron. Come back, Aaron. Come back. because we want you back, Aaron. So what do you think, Alex? I mean, you're in Colombia, like you said, a third world country. Colombia isn't exactly the most safe and secure nation in the world, is it?
Yeah, no, it's safer than Mexico. In what I've been in my year living here, it's safer than Mexico. But nowadays, not before. Like I can't even imagine what it was like living in the '80s here. But it's not the safest country in the world. Like you can't go in the streets with your cell phone out because they're gonna take it from you. But still, it's a lot safer.
Right.
But it's funny because most of my friends are from the States and from Canada, and sometimes I hear them and they're like, "No, this." They complain about stuff, and you're like, "Dude, there are things that happen outside that you have no idea." And I mean that like violence-wise and in the streets, like it's so crazy. But I mean, like we all have our problems. Like here, there's not as many. Like when I lived in Vancouver, I was blown away with the amount of homeless people there.
Yeah.
Here is not as a big issue as there, but I mean, like each country has its problems, but I mean, it's pretty wild here. I'm not gonna lie, it's not precisely the safest place in the world, but
no,
I feel safer than in Mexico. Like that movie, what was it? New Order, the one you talked about.
Yeah,
I watched it and I had anxiety for 2 days, just because it reminded me of so many things there.
I'm dying to get it. You know, well, that's what I find. What I think is the most like I think my greatest fear. And maybe that's why I love Dawn of the Dead so much, is the breakdown of social order, of civility. And New Order, to me, the reason I want to see it so bad is I love when something touches on my great fears, like to lose civilization to the point where people would just decide, you know, your front door doesn't matter to me. I'm going to come with a sledgehammer. I'm going to come into your house. I'm going to kill your family. I'm going to take everything you own, and I'm going to shoot you in the face. And if somebody decides they're going to do that, and that's what goes on in a lot of third world countries, people get dehumanized to the point where that happens. And New Order is about that. You know, except New Order is about leftists, you know, who decide to, like, I like the social order, I like civilization, but there's a lot of people that don't. I mean, I think the ultimate example of that in my lifetime was 9/11. You know, when I watched 9/11, to me it was the scariest thing I've ever seen. It was the most scared I've ever been. Like I was shook to the core of my being. It was the day I had to deliver the Usual Suspects special features for the movie to MGM, and I'd stayed up all night getting everything ready. And I watched the second plane hit live outside at one of these electronic stores, and I was like, "This is it. This is the end," because like in the Dark Knight, some men just want to watch the world burn. Well, there's a lot of people on Earth that want to watch America burn, and that was the best example of it. I mean, nobody said, "Here's what we don't like you, America, but here's what we're offering in return." No, they just want to burn down New York City, destroy it. If you could have
that was horrifying.
If you could drop a nuclear bomb into the middle of New York City, oh, they would. You know, and the question is, it will happen. One day, probably in my lifetime, at some point, we are going to lose a city. Whether it's a dirty bomb, whether it's some kind of, I mean, hey, you know what you can do now with everybody having space stations? One of the most effective ways is just to drop a large piece of metal from orbit. You know, that's something that you can do. But that's what I don't like. I mean, I want to believe in civilization, and New Order. The reason I can't wait to see it is because for me, that's when I heard about it, I'm like, now that's the kind of horror movie that I want to see.
You haven't seen it?
No, I have not seen it.
Oh, I thought. Okay.
I just keep talking about it because I want to see it so damn bad. I mean, you've seen it, wrote a great review of it. A lot of people have seen it. And it was playing here, and I didn't even know it was playing here. So
watch it. It's pretty tough. Like, I was
I can't wait.
by cops in Mexico. I was kidnapped by cops in Mexico for a few hours. So there's a scene there that is kind of similar, and it was one of the most horrifying experiences of my life. So
Why did they kidnap you?
you'll see. Oh, because they were assholes. I was walking out of a bar at 2 a.m. It was 3 blocks away from my house. They saw me. They started following me. They're like, "Where are you going? Come with us." I said, "No, my house is just." I get anxious just thinking about it, man. They picked me up. They pointed a gun at my head, and they had me there for a few hours. They pulled out my credit cards. They asked for my PIN number for my debit card.
Oh my
They
God.
took me all over the city taking money. They pointed a gun at my hand, said, "We're gonna kill
The
you."
cops
Give
just
us
took
your
you to
phone.
different. They took you to different
Yeah.
ATMs and just extracted
Yeah.
money.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. They were asking for my phone to talk to my wife. She didn't know what I was. She thought I was drunk. I wasn't drunk. I was just. I mean, I had like 2 beers. I don't even know. Dude. It was awful. It was one of the most awful things. They said, "We're gonna kill me." They kept driving. They kept driving. They kept asking for my phone. I didn't want to unlock it, and they kind of knew that they were not going to get anything more from me, and they just kicked me out of the car, hit me in the head with a gun, and didn't know where I was. Started walking, didn't have my phone or anything. I had just to walk. It was pretty terrifying. I got home like at 6 a.m. walking, and my wife was. I mean, she was broken apart. Like she couldn't believe it, and I couldn't do anything because in Mexico, if they were cops, so if I go to the
Yeah,
cop
they'll kill
station,
you.
they'll
You'll get-
know. Yeah, so and they had my ID and they knew where I lived. They warned me about that. So yeah, when you see those kind of movies and you know that, yeah, that shit happens.
Well, and also, like,
Yeah.
if you look at what's going on in this country with our law enforcement, we don't have people like that. I mean, for the most part, our law enforcement is pretty good compared to what you're just describing, and
Pretty
for
good.
the most part, and yet it's been recontextualized. Our police have been turned out to be public enemy number one, and statistically, those statistics, it's not supported. Most of the police are not like that. And yeah, do we have horrible incidents with the police? Yes, but nothing like what you're describing. Yeah. And we in America, we act like we have it so bad. We have no clue. We have no idea. I mean, with 65% of our population not having a passport, no one's traveled.
Yeah.
They've never seen the world. They do not know how well we have it here. They don't know that the greatest privilege every American has, no matter what color you are, what race, what creed, what your sexuality is, your religious preference, it is a privilege to live in this country in general.
It is. It's a great country, and like you guys are really lucky to be there. It's an amazing country, to be honest.
Yeah, but we don't know. You know, you talk to Americans. This is the most evil, racist, horrible place on the planet, and it's like, no, it's not.
No,
You
it's
know,
not.
it's easy for you to say from your ivory academic towers about what's wrong with the world because, wow, yeah.
It's a country that gives you opportunities that no other people have. Like that's why, like me, that's why all my fellow Mexicans want to just swim to a river. Some of them die just to have a better life.
Well, I learned that.
Right.
I learned that traveling. Like I've told this story when we were in Bulgaria in 2008 making Hills Run Red. You know, I really learned that the great thing that as an American, that we can just think stuff up and make it. Like if you want to start a business, if you want to, I don't know, start a bakery or a dress shop or whatever, you can just do it. And people are like, you should start a business. Well, in other countries, they don't have that attitude. Like if you say, I want to open a bar or a cafe, the people in your country will say, you can't do that. Why would you even try? You can't. You know, and that's something I didn't realize. Like you talk about privilege. I grew up in a world in America where if you just thought shit up and you could do it. You can just make stuff up. Now, I'm not saying you have to work hard, but you literally can in this country, you can say, I want to be an astronaut. And there's opportunity now more than ever before, whether you work for Blue Origin or SpaceX or Virgin Galactic or even NASA. If you live in America and you want to become an astronaut, if you work hard enough, you can be one. Like, I mean, not everybody can be. You know, there's just, you have to understand there are limitations, but you can, that's the strength of America. And we poo-poo it, you know, but the strength of America is that you can just make shit up and make it happen. And there will be people that will help you. If you're really a charismatic leader and you're like, I want to start the greatest cupcake factory in the world, people are like, that sounds really good. I mean, 20 years ago, I didn't know anyone who had cupcake businesses, but like you go to Portland or something, well, maybe they're not there anymore, but you go and there's people who have, they have gourmet cupcake companies, you know, and they're across the land, and things are, it's amazing. And we Americans, we just think stuff up and do it. And I think that that's something that we never, we don't talk about enough, nor do we remember that enough about our country.
It's a great place. It's a great place.
It's pretty great.
Visit soon. Yeah.
Well, yeah, you got to. Well, but that doesn't absolve you of the responsibility that you and Roberto Suarez are going to make the greatest Spanish language show.
Oh, we will. He's, he's on a leave of absence, but soon he'll be back.
Yes, I mean, hey, he's got a hot sister too. I'm like, Roberto, you've been holding your sister. What's up with that? He posts a picture of him and his sister. I'm like, dude, come on now. He's got a beautiful wife, a beautiful daughter, and he's got a hot sister. So here's to you, Roberto. Well done. But he's a good family man, which is good.
Guy. He's a great guy.
But when he pitched me the name of your show, I'm like, oh, so good. So good.
I'm glad you liked it.
I love it.
Did you see the new intro?
Not since I saw the original intro.
Oh, I'm going to send it to you.
Yeah, because I sent him some graphic elements. I don't know if he used them.
Yeah, I already worked. Yeah, I used them. I worked with
those.
Okay.
Yeah, I can't wait because I loved it already. I love the music. I can't wait to see it.
I'll send it to you on Facebook. Yeah, we don't want to spoil everything, but I'll send it to you on Facebook.
Oh, yeah. Let's see. Darth Plato says, Rob, there's a trend in academia to change history in that only white Americans performed acts of slavery against Africans, and slavery happened under no other circumstances. So no sub-Saharan slavery, no Barbary pirates, no East India Asian slavery, etc. Yeah, I don't understand that at all. I mean, I've heard that. I mean, there's been slaves. What's really interesting is that it used to not be a racial issue at all. If you were a conquered land, like, say, by the Romans, they just took you. You're enslaved. I mean, that's like we saw it in Gladiator. Hey, we found this guy dying. We're just going to take him, and okay, Proximo, he's yours. He's your slave. He's a gladiator now. I mean, this is something that was par for the course for human civilization.
It's part of Aztec history, of Mayan. Like, there's slavery everywhere.
Everywhere.
And
it was
normal.
It was normal.
It was It's nothing. It was weird if you didn't have slaves. If you had money and you didn't have slaves, it was like, why doesn't he have slaves?
Well, yeah, and it's such a bizarre thing. Like we had slaves in this country for 400 years. So there was a 400, and all the way back to the 1500s or something. And so slavery was just a part of life. Now, we can look back on it right now and say it's a terrible thing. But to condemn people like, the founding fathers were slave owners. Yes, because upper crust people at that time, most of them were slave owners. I mean, that was as it was true in Rome, as it was true in civilizations for thousands of years. So if you're going to condemn people for, at that time, that was natural. It was par for the course. That was what went on. Yeah. You can't condemn people for living in a time where this kind of thing went on. Was it a good thing? No.
It's just like women's rights. They were awful back then. Like, women wouldn't even allow to talk to men. Things were like that, and it's awful, but it was like that, and we need to understand, and we need to be better than that. We have hundreds of years of history to be better, and if you just erase that, I mean, it's not like we are Hitler burning books, but it's pretty much what we're doing. We're just burning through history.
Well, yeah, and that's what I don't understand. I find this. It's weird. It's easy for us from the perspective of 2021 to go back and condemn the past, but I don't think it's for us to condemn the past. The past is what it was. What we're supposed to do is study it, learn from it, evolve, and be better. But to go back and because when you start looking in the past and going, well, we need to. How far back are you going to go? Like, are you going to go back 400 years? You're going to go back 600 years, 1,000 years? I mean, I get the idea that there are people, especially in this country, we only want to go back so far so it's convenient for whatever point you want to make. Like, we're not going to go past the point where America hadn't been discovered yet. We don't want to go back that far. And it's like, okay, so what's the difference whether you go back 50 years, 100 years, 200 years, 300 years, or 1,000 years? Is going back 400 years, does that mean it's still relevant to today? Yeah, the atrocities we committed 400 years ago, we still need to get reparations for those. Oh, but what about 1,000 years? Oh, no, come on, man, that's too old. Nobody remembers that. And it's it's weird to me. It's bizarre. I don't know where Aaron Singh, if you can come back, Aaron, if you can get back, maybe his computer just went down. I don't know.
J-horror.
I wanted to hear all about the J-horror experience and why he was watching it. I wanted to know which movies they made The Grudge and a Ring team-up movie. Like
really?
They did like Freddy versus Jason, and it's Sadako versus the name of the and I never saw it. I heard it wasn't very good, but I wanted to see it anyway.
Yeah, I would watch it too.
Yeah, I would totally watch that shit.
Did you watch the Yuan show from Netflix?
No, I didn't.
Watch it. It's not very good, but watch it. It has some creepy moments. It wasn't very good.
Somebody was waiting, but I don't know. Hopefully we'll have somebody come back. But yeah, I mean, I think that we live in a very weird time, and we live in a time where common sense has sort of died, and I don't know. Hey, William King is back. Maybe we'll be able to hear William King. Hey, William, can you hear us? Oh, well, I can hear you. I think we'll put you in to the show. Are you ready to go in the show?
Cool.
Well, do you have headphones? Oh, because maybe, there's a... sometimes you have to turn off the monitor. You're monitoring. You're hearing headphones, but you're also hearing the monitor from what you're listening to. That happens. But either way,
maybe you have the YouTube video playing.
Yeah,
you
got
tab.
the YouTube video playing in a tab. That could be too. Well, you're on the show.
It's good now.
There you go.
Cool.
Well, William King, welcome to Midnighter. I know you've tried to get on and we haven't had you on. Let me ask you, sir, where are you coming to us from tonight?
Well, I'm coming to you from Port Orchard, Washington, and
is it hot as balls up there?
oh, yeah, it's pretty hot. In fact, I think it got about 105 this time.
Yeah, and for Port Orchard, I mean, you're out there right on the edge of the state, right?
Kind of. I'm about 20 miles away from Seattle, going west.
Right. So, I mean, you're right. You're not too far, but still, Port Orchard's really nice.
Yeah, it is. I've lived here all my life, and I've been living in the same apartment for like the last 25 years. So, yeah, it's not too bad.
Do you have rent control?
Yeah, actually, I do. I have a rent subsidy. I live on Section 8, and I'm on SSI and all that kind of stuff. So, yeah.
That's good. So how was it? Was it the hottest day? I don't know. I called my mom today to see how she was doing, and she was actually out working in the yard at like 7. That typical my mom. She's 82 years old, and she's like, well, I'm getting rid of all the dead leaves. She's an incredible gardener, and she's had a green thumb. And I'm like, she's 82. She's outside working in the heat, and I'm like, typical mom. So are you getting through it up there? Have you ever experienced a hotter day?
Yeah, it's I tried walking around in a little bit. I went to a local bar down here and near the waterfront, and I stayed there for a couple hours, and then I tried taking a bus and go to another place, but I forgot it was closed. And so I tried going to another place, and I tried walking, but it was just too hot. In fact, I tried to go in the shade, and the sidewalk was still really, really warm to where I couldn't even get my knees down. I had to get back up. And, of course, with my scoliosis and everything, it's kind of hard to walk, so I'm with a cane and everything. And it was just too hot to move around. I was sweating like a pig.
So let me ask you, William, would you consider yourself to be an imagination connoisseur?
Yeah, I do it mostly for entertainment.
Sure.
I don't have a whole bunch of stuff, although I do have a Picard bank
Nice.
right here, and I also have a couple other things. I have a phaser, next gen phaser, and
well, you don't have to. You don't need stuff. It's a state of mind.
yeah, that's true. And so yeah, I don't have a lot of CDs and everything, but if something comes on and I want to watch it, I will. And so mostly a lot of the stuff that's been coming on has a paywall.
Right.
And with my income, I can't really afford to go on all these streaming stuff. Although I just got a big screen TV a few weeks ago, and so I'm starting to see things on that, and so that'll be kind of cool to be able to see some stuff on there. But like I said, I don't have the money to go to all these streaming sites, and so
Sure.
if I don't see it on TNT or any of the other movies that come out like maybe 2 years after it's been in the theaters and everything, I usually don't see it.
Yeah. Well, I got a question for you. Sonny Dominguez, who's been on this show, Sonny. Love Sonny. Sonny asks a question. He says, he sends in a tip and he says, culturally, we're sliding into the shame and censorship that the religious right was calling for in the 80s and 90s. Pendulum swung other side. Artists led the pushback against those who viewed words and art as if a demon that can corrupt and possess individuals. Do you think that's happening? Do you think that art or entertainment or thought, book literature, can that really possess people? And I feel like now art and free expression has never been. I mean, we have a culture of people, young people, that don't believe in free speech. That free speech is violence or hateful. Do you think that that's true? And what do we have to do about it?
Well, for one thing, we can't look at it the way we used to years ago. Things are totally different now. I don't think it's progress, but it's definitely something that, I don't really go on Twitter very much. I just go for, some entertainment stuff, or to look if there's like a YouTube guy that I want to watch or something like that. But as far as communicating and answering back people, I don't really have a whole lot of conversations on there. And as I understand, that's where most of the trouble is coming from.
Well, there's also the colleges. There's also academia.
Yes, and I wanted to speak on that. it just kind of seems that all that politically correct stuff in the 90s, it just started then and it just gone downhill from there. And in some cases, I'm really glad I didn't go to college, that I didn't have to undergo through all of that. But being that said, it used to be going to the UW or any other university. It used to be an institute of higher learning.
Right.
That's not the way it is anymore. They're turning out activists instead of people who were getting prepared to get a real high-paying job in society. Instead, they're brainwashing people, which I think is what is happening. I don't know how it started. I don't know how it has gotten this big, but that's the way it is now. They're not turning out scholars anymore.
Well, I have a theory. I think the theory is, everybody wants to. I think the impulse is a good one. People want to make our society better. They want us to do better. They want all people. They really do believe that they're doing something that's for the betterment of society. People that haven't had a voice deserve a voice. People that marginalize people that have been oppressed for so long deserve to be able to be heard. And I completely agree with all of that. But at the same time, they're turning around and they want to destroy the very civilization that put them in the position where they could actually speak out. They'll tell you that, well, the Western civilization's terrible, the patriarchy is terrible, and all of human history is horrible. And yet, if we didn't have all of those things, you wouldn't be in the position that you could be in now to speak out against it. And the fact is, it's an evolutionary process. And, you can't trade one oppression for another. That's not progress.
But the thing is that they're actually creating a problem that wasn't really there.
Well, that's true too. So what do we do about it, William?
Well, first of all, we have to really reassess the way that we're thinking about things. And we have to realize that, number one, things that happened 200, 300 years ago, we had nothing to do with that. And I think some people don't realize that. That was generations ago. You can't punish us for what our grandfathers and great-grandfathers did.
Or great-great-great-grandfathers did.
You can go on and on. But still, that's hundreds of years ago. We had nothing to do with that. We had no responsibility of doing anything. We're not responsible for that. That was then. This is now. And what we have, quite frankly...
I read that book in high school by S.E. Hinton, who wrote The Outsiders and Rumblefish. Sorry, that was just an aside. But you're right. I agree with you.
It's a great movie.
I think we're just got a bunch of spoiled little brats, if you ask me.
Well, here's the thing. I think, though, that might be true. But again, we have to be respectful. I think everybody deserves, until they don't. My baseline is everybody deserves respect until they don't. Everybody gets my respect until they don't earn it anymore. They de-earn my respect. But,
well, respect is given. It's not given. It's earned. Actually.
Yes, it is. Well, I give respect. My baseline is I give it immediately, but then if you want to keep it, you have to earn it. But I always go into every relationship respectful of somebody and respectful of who and what they are.
Absolutely.
And it's my respect is theirs to lose.
Yeah. But the thing is, that whole thing about treating people the way that you want to be treated, that's no more. That's gone away. For some reason, that has been gone.
Why do you think that is?
I don't know why.
You don't know why. Okay. What about you, Alex?
I'm not really sure why. Maybe it's just that we gotten selfish.
I think that
maybe we gotten a little too selfish for our own good.
We need to keep treating people good. if we want to be treated that way. I don't think
I agree.
we have to be rude to people, because that's never the answer. It's the same as violence. It will never work. Like,
Nope.
I don't think it's the way to go with anything. And yeah, we live in really strange times right now. In art, like what you were asking me for, I think that nowadays it's really funny, because you see, in the 70s, like, I think it's also one of your favorite eras in cinema.
Yep.
You saw all these directors that were going against the norm and against everything, against what was conventional, and the studios were supporting them, most of them. Like, I mean, you had Martin Scorsese, you had Francis Ford Coppola, you have all these guys, and now it's like, I can't think of someone making The Last Temptation of the Christ per se, because someone might find it offensive now, and it was offensive back then. But I mean, today,
Well, somehow I don't really
that-
think it's going to get to that point, Alex. I don't really think it's going to get to that point,
to
because
what point? Sorry.
yeah, I don't think it's going to get to the point where we're going to have some sort of apocalyptic event. I think a lot of people think it's going to probably take something like that in order to things for people to change, but I don't think so, because believe it or not, there's still free-thinking people around here.
Yeah.
And the way that we start changing, the way people think, is for some people have to be willing to listen to the other side. I mean, we can't live in this echo chamber anymore. I mean, we've gone 10 years of this echo chamber, and guess what? It hasn't worked. So we have to be willing to listen to others and see what they've got to say. And who knows? Maybe they got a better idea than what we've got.
Probably.
But you don't know until, like Rob, you say, you listen.
Yes.
And that's the trouble. Nobody's listening anymore. They're talking and talking until they're blue in the face. But at the end, you got to listen in order to learn anything.
Well, you also have to listen to understand people. I mean, everybody comes from a different place, and everybody has a different experience. And I don't presume to know. I would never presume to know everyone's experience. And here's the thing: not everyone came from some cataclysmic childhood. Not everyone came from some horrible.
Yeah, mine wasn't really good either. But go on.
But I mean that everybody's got something different happening, different degrees of things, and the idea is, for me, is that no one's experience should ever be invalidated. You shouldn't say, well, your experience was not as terrible as this person's experience, because that every individual, like you, William, no one knows. I don't know what your life was like, but I've just heard that you've said some things tonight right now, like scoliosis, for instance. I understand what that is, and I understand what that can mean, because I've known people who have had acute scoliosis that weren't able to get the medical care when they were kids, and it went into their adulthood. And just by you saying that, and you're talking about walking with a cane, you've shared with us today things right now that I can now understand about you that I wouldn't have known, and knowing that, I'm like, look, I don't have to worry about the things that you have to worry about on a daily basis.
Yeah.
So there are things that you, if I didn't listen to what you said, I wouldn't understand that.
Right.
And I hear you, and and not only have I heard you, I was wondering, you were talking about walking home and telling us that story, and I'm like, I just take it for granted that I can walk home without pain and walk home without a cane, and I never think twice.
Yeah.
But hearing you just walking home from the bar is a different experience than it would be for me. Yeah. And you, sir, are worthy of the kind of respect that hey, if I left the bar and we were going to go hang out together, I would walk slower. I would understand. I'd be like, I'm not going to be like, Geez, William, can't you keep up?
Yeah.
No, I wouldn't do that. I would understand, and I think that's what we need. That's what we need in our world. More of don't. So many people are trying to tell us you should think this, you should believe in that, you should. When really, what I want to do is I want to understand you. You're never going to hear me ever tell you how I think you should be.
Right.
I'll never do that.
Yeah,
I will never do that. All I will try and understand is, where are you coming from? What is your experience of the world? Because anybody that tries to tell people how to live, and there's a lot of those people these days, I've experienced them, people that, I mean, I had people attacking me that never really even knew who I was. They didn't know anything about me. Like, and yet they came after me with a vengeance. And I was like, clearly,
I do not understand all this, this hostility and this hatred from people who
are supposed to be nice.
You think differently.
Yeah.
Just because you think differently, they can't stand it.
And here's the weird thing about all of this thing with our cultures and everything. For one thing, we thought that if we were going to be censored, it would be from the government, but it's not. It's from the corporations and from academia and from Hollywood and all of that. Who would have ever thunk that the people who were trying to tell us how we should live was not the government? It was from a bunch of pampered celebrities living in Hollywood Hills,
By the way, I got to say, Bunyan Snipe, one of my moderators from the UK who I love, says, sod it, let's go back to the slave one already.
Well, maybe in just a few minutes, Bunyan, I'll get to that. But I think to kind of finish is somehow we have lost civility somehow, but it's not civility on a big scale. It's just to one another. And somehow, if we can get to the point where we can not only listen to others' opinions and respect others' opinions, even though they're different from us, but not crucify other people for their opinions. And that's the thing.
I got a few people here. Mexican Iron Man, one of my favorite people in the world, Mike. Mexican Iron Man says, sticks and stones can break my bones, but words can never hurt me. That being said, let's rename the ship Burrito 1. By the way, Mexican Iron Man, let me tell you, I'm all for that. As a matter of fact, let's say from this day forward, right now, all of you imagination connoisseurs, go onto Twitter, hashtag Burrito1, hashtag Mexican Iron Man. I think that's the greatest thing in the world. I love this. I love this idea. Thank you for that, Mike.
But hey, as far as we were talking about Disney and how they treated Star Wars and everything, I have got to say that I kind of thought that this kind of thing was coming, being that it was Disney, and as soon as they get on a property, they will Disneyfy it, make it cultable for the kids and everything. But the thing is that the way they decided to go, they weren't going for the kids. They were actually going for the older adults. But the fact that they weren't willing to go on with the Luke, Leia, and Han Solo thing, they instead wanted to go right to Rey and to Finn and the Poe. And the sooner they took out the old people, the better.
Well,
I don't think anybody
that was a tactical error of the First Order.
Oh yeah,
sorry. I mean, I'm sorry. I'm making bad, terrible Star Wars jokes tonight, but
it was almost like patricide, maybe.
No, it was bad. By the way, Darth Plato says, breaking news: Caesar owns slaves, and now Caesar's Pizza is changing its name. Boba Fett's Pizza, anyone? Wow. Wow. Wow.
Well, if
Okay.
Riker can make pizzas in the 24th century, why can't they make them in the Star Wars universe, right?
Well, Riker making pizzas in the 24th century was clearly cultural appropriation.
Yeah.
There was, on the planet he
Oh.
lived on with that pizza oven, there was no Italians anywhere near them. Come on now.
Yeah.
That
By
was-
the way, I just want to say, Rob, being that I don't want to, pay for all those streaming services and everything, I have no desire to see Discovery or Picard or any of that other crap because I know.
Well,
that
here's the thing.
It's not worth seeing. It's
I
not the same.
I can't believe I'm going to say this, but I do believe everybody needs to see it and make up their own mind. Because I will freely admit that my opinion, although it should be considered sacrosanct and holy, I do think that there are people that are going to come to Star Trek for the very first time, watching Discovery and Picard and Lower Decks and Strange New Worlds and all that. And I believe that Star Trek as a concept is its own best defense. The episodes hold up. I mean, we know from Andy in Argentina, who comes on the show, he's been watching Star Trek, the original series, for the very first time, and he's still found value in it. And I love hearing what he has to say, and I think that the great thing about great storytelling is it's self-evident. You don't need people to evangelize you to read something. I mean, maybe to get you to pick the book up, but you don't need people to tell you that great entertainment is great because it's self-evident. It will show you itself.
That's right. But the thing is that, a lot of people like me who don't have the money to go out and see all the movies and all the things like that, it's kind of nice to go around to, these days, a lot of YouTubers and see what they think of the movie. And
Sure.
the thing about it is, we can actually make our own decisions as far as what we want to see and what we don't desire to see. And a lot of the people don't understand that for some reason.
I agree with you.
What about Alex?
Yeah, what do you think,
No,
Alex?
I agree too. No, I agree too. No. I was thinking about like a lot of people just read a couple of reviews online and they already make a judgment. I don't think that's fair. I think you should give it always a try. You should always watch things before give your final judgment. Always. And watch it. I haven't seen it. I've seen all the original Star Trek, and I started to watch Next Generation for the first time, and I enjoy it. It's a lot of fun.
Wait, you're watching Next Generation now for the first time?
Yeah.
Oh my God! Now, where are you? Are you? The first two seasons are very sketchy.
I just started. I'm on episode 2.
Okay, well, wait.
Okay.
You
Yeah,
should let me.
yeah,
You should
I
let
just
me
started.
curate. You should let me curate your first, because episode 2 is the naked now. It's not good.
Yeah,
It's not good, man.
yeah.
Hey,
I'm holding up. I'm like, Rob says it's pretty good. I need to watch this.
Okay, here's the thing. I would say I wish everybody would ask me these questions, but the first 2 seasons of Next Generation are not good. They're not good.
Do you think I should skip it?
No, but what you should do is let me
Okay.
curate the episode. As a matter of fact, I'll do it right now. Here, I'll do it right now. Hang on.
perfect.
Since you're doing it, I'm going to give you the Rob Burnett seal of approval of the there are 26 episodes if you include Encountered Farpoint. It was broken up into syndication as 2 episodes. I'm going to tell you what episodes you should watch for season 1 and season 2 of TNG. Okay, these are the episodes you need to watch. Okay, so you ready? I mean, you can always go back and watch
ready.
this if you miss it.
Yeah.
Okay, you watched Encounter at Farpoint, and you watched Naked Now. Okay?
Yeah.
Now, okay. Don't watch Code of Honor. Now, the
Okay.
funny thing is, the funny thing is, I'm going to tell you episodes I think are bad, but you should watch them because it's interesting from a historical perspective to where Star Trek goes. So, Encounter Farpoint's the pilot. You got to watch that. Naked Now is shitty. It's terrible. You already watched it. I can't help you. Code of Honor is the racist episode of Star Trek. Don't watch that. But you have to watch The Last Outpost because that's the first Ferengi episode. Watch Where No One Has Gone Before because that was Rob Bowman's first episode and Diane Duane wrote that.
Yeah, wasn't that one of the original scripts for the Phase 2 series that was supposed to be made a few years earlier?
that was not that. There were two. One was The Child, which is the first episode of season 2, and the other was Devil's Due.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Okay, then you have to watch The Battle and Hide and Q. All right. And Haven. And the Big Goodbye, which won a Peabody Award. And Data Lore, because that introduces lore. You can skip Angel 1, trust me. Gates McFadden almost quit after that episode. Watch one of my favorites of the first season, 11001001. Watch that.
The binaries.
The binars, yes. And then you have to watch.
Oh, William likes it. Cool.
Yeah, Too Short a Season. Coming of Age. Heart of Glory. The Arsenal of Freedom. Symbiosis. Skin of Evil. Conspiracy in the Neutral Zone. Now, there you go. I've left out some bad ones, but those are the episodes of the first season you should watch.
I'm glad you saved me like 5 hours of wasted time.
You're never going to get back. Believe me, if you ever watched Home Soil, you'll be like, Rob, why? The only thing you need to know about Home Soil is the microscopic organisms call human beings ugly bags of mostly water. That's the only clever thing. And Walter Gotell, who played General Gogol from the James Bond movies, is in it. But that's all you need. By the way, Douglas Baird sends in a tip and said, this is interesting. Douglas says, have you ordered a copy of Quentin Tarantino's book, Once Upon a Time in Hollywood? I think it's going to be great. In his interview with Mark Mayron, he said he won't be retiring after 10 films, but he did say he would on Bill Maher this week. But Douglas, yes, I did order Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, and it's only in paperback. It was only $8, and it comes out tomorrow, so it should be delivered to my doorstep. So thank you for that. Cool. Our friend Darth Plato says, if we applied cultural appropriation consistently, then the printing press would not have come to Europe from China. Roman numerals would never have been replaced by Arabic numerals. Never mind food. Well, Darth Plato is absolutely correct. Darth Plato is, I think, you know what I have to say? There are people on this channel that I've made the resident, like Claude and Candida are the official couple of the Burnettwork. Kaz Graphics is our official cheesemonger. You know, so we have Julius Goodwin is our official sommelier of the channel. I think Darth Plato, I'm going to bestow the title of official Burnettwork historian is on Darth Plato. He's our official historian because he's always bringing up very interesting historical facts. So Darth Plato, whether you choose to accept this just important mantle or not, you are the official historian of the Burnettwork. I've never had an official historian before, so congratulations, sir. You, Darth Plato, have won that great esteemed honor. So there you go.
And wear that badge with pride, my friend.
Yes. Well, so William, I would love to rotate you out and get somebody else. I'm glad you came on the show. It was great to hear from you, and you know your Star Trek, so that's very impressive.
Well, thank you very much.
By the way, since you're here, what are some of your very favorite Star Trek episodes? No pressure, but your favorite Star Trek episodes, what are they?
Well, I can't tell you the titles, but
That's okay. I can.
Okay, yeah, you can go ahead and do that for me. But one of my favorites is the Times Arrow one, where they go back to the West and they find Data's head
Well,
in
that
San Francisco.
you did just say the title.
Okay,
You did.
all right.
Times Arrow Part
I'm
1 and Part
that the
2.
old noggin's still working.
That was the end of the 5th and the beginning of the 6th season.
Yeah, that was one of my favorites. Another one that I really, really enjoyed was, of course, the Best of Both Worlds.
Yep. Another two-parter.
Yes. And, I kind of think that a lot of the two-parters were the ones that I really gravitate to, because they weren't just one-off stories. That they kind of were kind of like, special movies or something like that.
Sure.
Although I do like the one where they went back on the holodeck and Data was trying to be Sherlock Holmes. I thought that was good.
Yes, I mean, and the first episode they did that in was the second season of Next Gen, and Rob Bowman directed that episode, and
Okay.
it's pretty great. Where Geordi played Watson.
Yeah. And, of course, there were a lot of the ones with Troy, because she was my favorite character. And so I liked the ones with Troy. Absolutely. And so I kind of think that the Next Generation was something that I was really glad to see it really go to kind of continue this Star Trek continuation and everything. And the one thing that I really regret about the whole Star Trek thing, the whole Berman run, was that when it came to Enterprise, for some reason, and I'm not sure if this is true, but for some reason, the producers of that show or the writers of that show did not get that book. And I wish I had that sucker. But it was Michael Nadini Sakuda's Encyclopedia of the Future, or something like that.
Yep. Yeah.
It seems to me that when they wrote Enterprise, they started retconning right then and there for some reason. And that was one of the reasons why I really didn't like Enterprise, because it took till like the third season where they actually got to the very premise that they're supposed to get to. And yet, during that third season, I felt that there were a lot of things that just didn't seem right. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, no, I do. By the way, the episode you were talking about in the second season, I just realized I didn't mention the name of that episode. It's actually called Elementary Dear Data.
Yes.
And by the way, Alex, it's fucking fantastic.
Awesome.
And Rob Bowman, who went on to direct X-Files, he began his directing career working on Next Gen as a young kid. But William, you're not wrong. I want to thank you for being here. It's been great to have you. Finally, you get on the show. Please come back again. Now that you know,
I'm very happy to do so. Thank you very much.
now
Nice
you
to meet
know
you,
what
William.
to do.
All right.
Let's see if and Alex, I'm keeping you on tonight because you're doing a show with Roberto, so we shall see how that all works. If anyone else wants to
It's
come
gonna
on,
be fun. It's gonna be fun.
it is gonna be fun.
I can't wait. Like I wish we could talk more about it, but it's just we can't.
Well, we can. I mean, I just don't want you to say the name of the show because I want to get a great piece of artwork. The show. Roberto told me what the name of the show was. I was like, "Fuck, dude, I'm done. That's it. It's such a great title." I have put the link in. I feel bad about Aaron, Mr. Singh. He disappeared. He froze, and then maybe tomorrow night he'll come back on, and we'll find out about his J Horror Week. I mean, yeah, that's it. Sadako got him.
Yeah.
Like she came out of the TV, and poor Aaron, he's dead.
Last week when we were talking about aliens, remember that I got pulled out of the conversation. And I think it was the government. Like they're spying on us. The government
Oh no.
and the Asian horror monsters.
Well, yeah, I think the government just, I'm just like everyone else. I'm being suppressed. I'm being shadow banned. They just don't want me to talk. I have such incendiary political. I'm a firebrand, Alex.
Yeah.
They don't want me to speak.
Yeah, you're a danger to society and to yourself.
Clearly.
Yeah.
I mean, with
Please
my
be
Hot Toys
careful.
obsession,
Yeah.
what can I do? Although I have to say, I think for an old middle-aged white guy,
Oh,
come on, man.
I love that chair.
I love this chair. I love this figure. Actually, she's actually going into. I hate to say this, but she's going in the display case. And
How are those coming together? You built all of them already?
I've built 3, but I have more
Cool.
coming. And I love this. I mean, Shuri, come on. I do love this. I love her sitting in the throne of Wakanda. So I built 3, but so what's really interesting, like tonight, this is very funny. Tonight I took out my Dark Knight Batman armory. I hadn't opened my Batman. The Batman armory comes with, the one I had comes with Bruce Wayne in a suit, Alfred in a suit, and Batman. And then the armory that comes up. So it's the 3 set. I hadn't opened it in 4 years.
No.
I had it. I used to have it in a display case in my old office. And I'm trying to figure out, like, with what I'm going to do. Like, I haven't quite in my old office for my action figure collection, I had this, I had borrowed, I had a beautiful giant glass display case, but it wasn't mine. And I did it, like, the top of it was the Avengers. And it was huge. Now,
Nice.
These are Modja cases, so now I've built 3 Modja cases, like, up this way.
Okay.
But I haven't got my other 6, which is going to make a cubicle display, and they're not 120s, they're 60s. So what I would love is to have, my dream would be to have 2 60-60, 120, and 60-60, which is ginormous, and I don't have a room to do that. But so what I'm trying to do is figure out, like, how am I going to display all this? And, like, unlike Justin from Justin's collection, who has every single Hot Toy figure ever made from the last 5 years, even though I have figures he doesn't have, like, he didn't even know that James Dean was a Hot Toy figure. But he's got a great display, and the question is, how, like, for me, I didn't buy all of the figures. I only bought my favorite figures. So it'll be like a tableau. What I want is, when I get my 3rd Thanos figure with the battle damaged armor, I want to have, like, the triptych in one display case. I want the one Thanos sitting in the throne going like this. And then I want the Thanos from Infinity War snapping his fingers on one side. And then on the other side, I want him holding up all sad going, oh, my Infinity Gauntlet doesn't work. So I want to have all 3 of those figures. And then I want to have the entire battle scene below them. So it's more of a poster thing.
Yeah.
But, and it's just a question of, like, tomorrow I get Heimdall and I get Arrow. I get Green Arrow from Stephen Amell. So those show up, those third-party figures. But it's just, you have to decide, like, well, what are you going to do? Like, how are you going to display? And I've got so many weird, like, movie figures, one-off figures, and bizarre figures. Like, I don't know how. I've got to figure out. I wish I could have it all done up, but who knows when your Modja cases are going to, I don't know. So we've taken a detour. People are like, what are you guys talking about? But
the beautiful toys. I'm getting finally the 40th anniversary Boba Fett tomorrow.
Oh, okay. You know what? I've been thinking about getting that figure. By the way, Sonny Dominguez has joined us. And
Hello,
Sonny is an interesting cat. I'm a big fan of Sonny. I'm going to, and he lives down the street from me. Well, actually, down the road, down the freeway from me. So one day we're going to meet up, but we haven't met up yet. So I'm going to bring in Sonny Dominguez. I'm going to put him in the show. Put him in, Coach. Hold on, just give me a minute, Sonny, while I add you to the show. Oh my God! In a world where I'm doing live TV and I can't do it fast enough. So let me. Wow, I've got Alex and Sonny. You guys are very handsome dudes. I feel outclassed.
You
by
are very
the two of you.
handsome. No.
No. No. Look at these guys. You guys are. I mean, come on. You're
No, look
Latin
at you.
lovers. What can I say?
Look at you.
I know. God, come on. Please welcome Sonny Dominguez into the Midnighter along with Alex. Sonny, I know you're in Burbank.
Hello, Sonny.
Yeah.
How are things?
Hi, Alex. Great. And actually,
How are you,
I
man?
wanted to, doing good. Alex, since you talked about seeing New Order, I mean, without giving any spoilers to Rob, but I went to the theater here. They're playing it in Burbank, and it's funny because the lady, this random girl in her 20s, a white girl, at the end of the movie, she goes, "What the hell did I just watch?" And I was just curious your reaction after because it took me literally a day to marinate in the movie, and I'm just curious what happened with you and your process.
Same thing that happened to you, but it took me like 2 days to get over it. It was pretty tough. Yeah, it was tough. It felt too real to me.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, it was way too real. Like I felt that it was something that I knew it was possible. So yeah, it shook me in so many levels, but it's a good movie. It does what it's supposed to do. So
I had a question. Did you find yourself hating people in the movie, and then you realized this anger was building up in you, and you were kind of like, "Whoa, this is the most angry I've ever been in a movie."
Yeah, totally.
That's what shocked me. I was like having these feelings that I'm like, wait a minute, what's going on? I've never experienced these feelings in a movie, watching a movie,
This director has another movie that everyone should watch. It's also a very disturbing movie about two brothers. It's called Daniel and Anna. I really don't want to give up anything about the plot, but it's a really disturbing movie.
Wow.
Yeah, it came out, I think, in 2009. And it was actually when I saw New Order, I was like, I think this director made that movie. And I saw it, and they were like, yeah, it makes sense. But yeah, I felt so uncomfortable.
Yeah.
Wow, listening to you guys talk this way, I'm like, oh my God, I can't wait to see this movie.
Actually, Rob, you can rent it on Amazon, apparently.
You can?
Yeah. I just looked right now to check, but a buddy of mine, I told him about it, and he watched it.
Here, it's available on Prime for free. Like, it's included in the membership, but I'm guessing in the States it's different. Yeah. But you should give it a try, really. It's...
I'm dying. I didn't know it was there. I will watch it tomorrow. It's one of my most eagerly awaited movies.
Yeah, you need to tell me tell us what you think.
Please do.
I had no idea.
It's too much. It's too much to handle. It takes a while. It takes a while to process everything.
Like, Alex,
I think, Rob, tell me. Sorry, Sonny.
Sorry, I used to say I called my mom after it, and I was just like, "Mom, I saw this movie that you probably wouldn't like watching, but it's changed. Like everything that's I've been seeing in this world right now, it made me go, this is what could happen just like that." And I'm like,
yeah.
Oh.
Yeah. Yep.
Sorry,
yeah,
you're saying,
just
Alex?
in a minute, everything could change. No, that's okay. I was gonna add up to that, but yeah, that's one of those movies that you'll never forget. But I think that the trailer makes it look like something that it's not.
I agree completely.
And that's what's cool about the movie.
Wow, that's interesting. Why do you say that?
I don't want to say it, but okay. It makes the movie feel like you're gonna watch something like The Purge, when
Yeah.
it's totally different.
Yes.
It's totally different. It's more of a social drama than this horror gory thing. It's weird. I don't know how to explain exactly the genre. Maybe Sony can help me out with that.
Well, I think there's elements is okay. You think that this is going to happen with this character, the story's going to go this way, and then it just takes a sharp turn, and you're like, "Whoa!" Like, I didn't know that was going to happen, and you start feeling these things of hopelessness almost. For some characters that you were rooting for, and you're like that, like left field stuff was coming out of anywhere, but it was done so precise and. Yeah, because I left the movie going, whose movie was this? But there was no.
There's another movie in my life that made me feel this uncomfortable, but I can't remember the name. Maybe Rob can. It's from Michael Haneke. It's from the 90s, and it's about
Funny Games?
Yeah, that movie.
Okay.
But the home invasion that he remade in English?
Yeah, and both the movies are messed up.
Yeah,
okay.
that was another movie that made me. I was watching it, and it gets to one point in the movie where I'm like, wait, what? Yeah, no, Michael Haneke's.
Okay, I'll watch it.
Yeah, you should watch it, but don't watch the American version. Watch his original version, because he remade the movie almost shot for shot. Kind of like what Gus Van Sant did with Psycho, but Haneke made his own original. He made the original version and he remade the film almost shot for shot. It was crazy.
Alex, the last time I felt the way about a movie like I did New Order was watching Requiem for a Dream.
Tough.
I remember watching that movie when I was like 18, 19 and going, I never want to do drugs ever in my entire life. Like, I don't like just seeing like it go crappy for everybody. You're just like, oh.
Yeah, but I would like to add an addendum to that. Maybe you don't want to do drugs ever in your life, but would you do drugs with Jennifer Connelly?
Oh, yeah.
I feel the same way. I just wanted to offer that up as just an addendum. Maybe you don't want to do drugs unless you're doing them with Jennifer Connelly, in which case, yes, Jennifer, the answer is I would love to do drugs with you.
Well, I do want to say I have done drugs since then, but it was
with Jennifer Connelly?
No, I wish.
Oh, because I'm going to say you would definitely get my award, Imagination Connoisseur of the Week, Sonny.
I'm glad I waited till I was 30 till I started dabbling and trying drugs.
I would. Hey, look, I'm a fan.
Yeah.
What I find very interesting about our weird culture is that if drugs are legal, you can take whatever you want: painkillers, opiates. You can take heroin derivatives, whatever. One of my favorite drugs, which is hard to get, is ecstasy, MDMA, which was legal in this country. It was created in 1913 by a German pharmaceutical company. It was legal up until 1986 in the U.S. Then, because kids were dancing and using ecstasy is a fantastic drug if you can get it pure. I haven't done drugs in 17 years, but let me tell you, I will flat out say this. By the way, no corporation's ever going to hire me because I'd never get past HR. But I will say this. I'm a huge fan of ecstasy if it's pure MDMA and the way it works. And the thing is, you can't really, ecstasy only works with 1 or 2 pills. You can't, and you should only ever do it really, I would say once every 2 weeks, but really it should be once a month. It's a fantastic drug, and it might be legalized again because they've been using it to with people who suffer from PTSD, like our veterans who are coming back. It's a fantastic drug. So I'm a big, like, why is it that some drugs are bad? And, like, opiates are all, like, you can get them legally, and they're fucking terrible for you. And all the drugs, like marijuana, they finally legalized. Ecstasy, which they tried to, it ruins your spine. It does not. That maybe, drugs are coming back, like the good drugs, not the bad drugs.
Well, shrooms are legal in Colorado
Yep.
now, and what I want to try, and Alex, I don't know what you don't have to say if you've done any drugs or not, but I want to try DMT one day,
dude. Okay, I've never done it.
I've done LSD, and they say it's like 15 times worse, or maybe more.
I don't know if you guys have
Worse
ever
or
seen one of the two movies. They're three. There are three movies in my life that I watched twice back to back, and the last one was Gaspar Noé's Enter the Void. Now, if you guys haven't seen Enter the Void, man, I'd heard about it. I watched it. I was like, it has the greatest like DMT drug trip weird thing at the beginning of the movie. Most people are going to be put to sleep by Enter the Void. But I'm going to tell you, it was 3 hours long, and the first thing I did when it was over, and I watched it drug-free, was start it over, and I watched the entire movie again. And it made me want to die and live in the afterlife and do drugs, which probably is not a really good endorsement when you really think about it. But boy, did I love Enter the Void, and it is all about DMT, something I've never done before, but I would be interested in doing it. So, yeah, we'll see.
I don't know if I would, but
so I want to. By the way, this stream's totally going to get demonetized. I'll get kicked off Twitter.
Nah. Joe Rogan talked about DMT all the time, and he got monetized.
Let's say TNT. Just no, TNT is also no. What's no? We can't say anything.
Well,
what can we say, Rob?
I want to try it because they said that you really face your ego, and there's some spiritual aspects that really go on when you're on it. So, and then some people have had the same experience, never even talking about it, but they've documented. It's like these two people see the same thing when they're up there and doing, in that 15, 30 minutes. And I want to see what that is. Like,
well, what I find really interesting is that obviously we have evolved to perceive reality in a certain way. Our senses, like we know that we don't have the same sense of smell as dogs. Like I have dogs, I walk my dogs every night, and I know that they smell things in the world that I don't smell. So their perception of the world is different than mine. They know things I don't know. And our brains, our consciousness, evolution, and all of that, the way we perceive the world is normally based on certain inputs, certain neurons firing, doing different things. But if you can alter that perception, for instance, we can't see the ultraviolet spectrum. Well, imagine if you could. What would that look like? And I think when you do a drug like DMT or something else, your brain, your perception of the world is altered. And is that legitimate or illegitimate? I think it's legitimate. I think it's something that we all need to understand. And that's why when people start, it's very interesting when you read about the people like Timothy Leary, that whole era when they were delving into psychedelics and things like that. What it was doing was it was interfering with your perception of reality. So suddenly, I find that fascinating. If that's possible to even do, it's amazing that you can, which means reality and the way we perceive it is malleable. So we walk around looking at the world going, this is the way the world is. But what if just beyond our perception, there's a whole nother world? There's a whole elevated world that we just can't see. Our dogs can see a little bit into that world because their perception's different. We can't. And so you take DMT and it opens a door we didn't even know was there. And suddenly you're peeking around going, what the hell is this? And
it's really impressive. Like with LSD, I had experiences like that. And yet you see like the world is a completely different place. But it's not like I don't know why people say that they feel like they're somewhere else. It's like an enhanced version of the space you're at. It's that's what I felt like. I never felt like I never saw anything that wasn't there. Everything was just different.
Right.
Maybe it was the dose that I had, but it was never. I never felt scared. It was really. It was beautiful. It's weird because I hear people that say, "Oh, it was one of the most terrifying experiences of my life," and I think it opened my mind, and I think that's why I think people should try it at least once.
Well, what's so interesting is we alter ourselves whether you have a lot of sugar, it changes you. Whether you have alcohol, it changes you. Whether you're taking antidepressants, we have a whole strata of things that we're okay with, and yet something like DMT, whether it's psychedelics, mushrooms, which naturally grow, marijuana, these are things. And what I find really interesting about this stuff is no one ever asks this question, but why is it that there are plants on this planet that you can dry out and smoke, and they will affect your perception, your brain? Like, how would that be built? And I would say, if you believe in intelligent design and a supreme being, that there's a reason why plants can affect us, our biological computer. It was designed to do that on purpose. Otherwise, why? It's so odd. Like, oregano doesn't make you do that. Mint, you can't smoke mint and have it like get you stoned, dude. Only like marijuana does. Why? Well, you could say it evolved that way if you want, or perhaps by design. Like, there's things.
Have you seen what? Have you seen what? Sorry, Rob. Have you seen what people create when they are in peyote?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, the Huichol art. It's pretty impressive. Like the way they perceive colors, and it's amazing.
Well, it's so funny because most of the time we walk through our lives thinking, well, we shouldn't be doing these things, or oh, we're puritanical, and yet there are substances on this planet that occur naturally. Psilocybin, mushrooms or whatever, and marijuana, or you don't even have to refine it. It's just growing there. And by ingesting it, there's something that happens. Well, that's pretty interesting. I mean, and yet people are like, you can't do that. You're a sinner. I'm like, I don't know, man. I think that this was put here for a reason. And, God wasn't saying you shouldn't smoke out or not take mushrooms. I'm like, who do you think put that shit here? I mean, if you believe in intelligent design, it seems odd that we as creatures would be affected by a plant. Like, our consciousness could be affected by something that's growing. Well, how did that happen? Somebody to me, that's like a side quest in a video game. If you find this, the creator of this big game put all of these side quests in there. And if you figure out that if you get high, your life could change, that's something that a great designer might do, especially the designer of, say, the cosmos. And I'm an atheist. But to me, it's like the fact that we can get stoned is a great argument for intelligent design. I'm like, well, the idea that weed gets you altered pretty much proves the existence of God. Sort of.
Yeah. Yeah,
Totally.
I don't know if you remember, Rob, I was a religion major.
Oh, I remember.
Yeah, so
Really?
now, this is going to sound weird for some people, but when I'm a high, everything that some truths in my life and like spiritual things have happened and made me go, oh, now I'm seeing this in a different way. Thank you, because it's giving me a new perspective, I guess you could say.
Yep, of course.
Yeah.
No, and I that's not to be trifled with. I mean, it's not like this wasn't the devil coming up from the Stygian depths of hell have tempted you to have this. No, this is just something that's happened with stuff that's around us.
It's there.
It's here. It's as much a part of creation as anything else, and yet somehow we've denied it. Well,
Yeah, like all the other things we've been talking about today. Everything started with a ship, the Slave One, and now
it's all about the Slave One,
where we
man.
are.
When it comes
Yeah.
right down to it, and look, what do you think Han Solo was really smuggling in those cargo holds in the Millennium
Oh
Falcon?
yeah, death sticks.
Yeah, the spice must flow. Come on, Han.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think the changing of the Slave One name, I kind of go, I get it, because maybe some parents are going to have to explain to the kids, wait, at school and all this, we heard slaves this, then how can it be a ship? And maybe just some parents just want to avoid that conversation and some.
Yeah, but that's
Yeah.
bad. Parents
I know,
should
I'm
sit
not-
down there, embrace it, and go, look,
Yeah.
look, son. You know, and what's so funny is why shouldn't we have these conversations?
Right.
Like, kids should know that, yeah, you know, once white people were horrible to black people and we bought and sold them like chattel, and then if they displeased us, we raped, we murdered, we hung them from trees. I mean, it happened. This is
Yeah.
our history.
But do you
And-
think that maybe it's just somebody in a corporate or focus group are saying, you know, a slave is a person, not a thing, so let's just go ahead and save us, just call it the Boba 1 Starship, and, you know, it makes our lives a lot easier.
Well, I think that's exactly what they're doing. But
Yeah.
on the other hand, what if Jango Fett christened that ship the Slave One as a act of rebellion? In that, you know, he's basically a clone. He's a clone that was, as an experiment, given his own life, taken away from everyone else, taken away from all the other clones, and they gave him a kid, which was just a clone of him. And he was the most enslaved person ever. He was doing the Kaminoans. He was doing their dirty work. You know, when something was not going your way, let's unleash Jango Fett and have them deal with him. And I'm like, maybe that's why he called his ship the Slave One, because he thought of himself as the first slave. That he was literally bred to be a servant. And so he was part of a slave
And that's
plot.
a good story. Like if it's that, it has a lot of meaning. If you think of that, it's actually powerful. It's not something evil.
No.
Right.
And that's why I'm
you
like,
have to check the context.
I think the problem that I have with the modern age is people are fucking dumb and they don't think those things through. And I'm like, we just came up with, I just told you my whole thing, and Alex, you're going, well, that could be a good story. There's the reason, you know, and that gives us more insight into Boba Fett, but whatever. Apparently we can't have nice things.
No, Boba Fett is now, he's going to be a good guy now. He's going to redeem himself for all the bad things he's done. And yeah, I think
we're
that's what the
talking
book
about
of Boba Fett's going to be.
stories, man.
What?
Alex, your story about Mexico with the police. Wow.
Oh, man.
Ugh.
It's one of the worst things. Well, no, it's not one of the worst. It's the worst thing that has ever happened to me and my wife.
Oh, God. That's terrible.
Yeah, like if I bring her up and she tells you about it, like she would cry. Like every time she remembers it, she cries because she didn't have anyone to call for help or anything. It was awful. Like she only had me there. So
Yeah.
Have you ever thought about turning that experience into some type of movie or just an idea for a story?
you know what? I have a thing that I really don't enjoy writing about those kind of things.
Oh, okay.
It's weird. Like I know people who like to deal with that way, but for me, I don't know. Like it was just too painful for me, and I don't want to turn it into a story. It's weird. I know that maybe I should, but it's something that for me was a traumatizing experience, and I don't know how I would translate it to the screen or to a book without making it feel like I'm trying to. I don't know. Like I don't even know how to say it, but I don't want to feel that I want to exploit what I went through to get money out of it. You know,
Gotcha.
because I think that's what I end up becoming, and that's what a lot of people do with experiences like that.
Yep.
Just make money out of it, and I don't want to do that. It's
Right.
something that I shared here because it came to it, but it's something that it's awful, and I really wish that, like, my hands are sweating again.
Wow.
I just don't want anybody to go through something like that ever again. But things like that happen, and it can happen anywhere, really.
Yeah.
Not with cops, but with anyone, you know.
Well, gentlemen, it's past 2, and I think I'm going to end this stream. Another Midnighter. We'll be back tomorrow. But I have to get up and I have to do work. I mean, now that Tango Shalom is being sent to Paris, and there's so much work I've been doing.
Awesome,
It's really good. It's great.
I really want to watch it.
But yeah, I might be able to help you out with that. There's a lot going on for this, so there's more happening, which is all fantastic. But I think I'm going to end this stream because it's not like the weekend where I can stay up till 4 or 5 in the morning. I don't care. But I have to be on the John Campea show, and I have to do more work.
Well, I've been loving Midnight Metal with Arm on Fridays.
Oh, she's great.
Saturdays with Dave Park.
It's a lot of fun.
Yeah.
I really like the banter between you and Dave because it feels like hanging out with two people who've known each other for years, and we get to find out aspects of you that we like. Oh, this is a good.
It's a great show.
Like, yeah.
Yeah, no, we do, and even with Dave Scow, it was fun, and having Dave Scow just had a quadruple bypass. I mean, we thought we might lose him, and this is like 6 weeks ago, and he was looking great. So, Dave's one of my favorite people. Both of those Daves are, and I've known them. I've known Scow for 32 years, and Dave Parker for probably the same amount. And
Nice.
It's great. It's been fun. I mean, it's funny that doing these late night shows, I wouldn't have thought that they would have been as fun as they are, but they are. I get to do these shows with you guys and meet people. It's a lot of fun. I mean, it's a little hard to do, like to keep the schedule going, because like I have to get up and be on John's show. We do it now at 10. It used to be at 9, and then I do my show at 2:30, and then I'm doing other shows and streams, and you still have to get things done. It's been fun, but I'm glad I'm glad to hear you like the Midnight Metal show. That was born out of. It's a lot of fun, and I think we have a great audience, and like even on it's great, these shows. Wednesday doing our fully articulated or hot toy show, I didn't think anyone would watch that shit. I'm like, no one's gonna watch that, but they do. They tune in. I figured we'd do one show, and now we're closing in on 30 episodes. I'm like, I can't believe it. It's like, it's been great.
Show.
Our audience is great. Everybody's great. I wouldn't be able to do these shows without you. So, which is fantastic.
You make us happy. You make us all happy.
Well, gosh, thank you. But you guys make me happy, damn it. And on
We
that
love you,
note,
Bob.
I'm going to say that I want to thank my moderators. The Richard, of course, is here tonight. Bunyan Snipe was here tonight. I don't know. I don't see anyone else because why would anybody be here this late? But I want to thank all of my moderators for having a great moderating staff. If you want to write a letter to the show, you can go to the website, theburnettwork.net, and you can write a letter. I'll read it aloud. And gosh, what else? I want to thank, of course, Alex, and I want to thank Sonny for being here, and William, who was here earlier, and of course Aaron, who we lost, but I'd love to see him come back again, because God damn it, let's do a J-horror week. I want to know what he watched. Be awesome. So that would be great. And obviously the moderators, I want to thank everybody for supporting the channel via tips and super chats. Thank you so much. I appreciate that. And I will be back tomorrow on the John Campea show. I'll be doing Robservations. And if you are interested, you ever wanted to know about Hollywood costume design, the first episode that I host of the Designing Hollywood podcast is on YouTube. And check that out.
Where can I watch it?
It's on YouTube. It's on YouTube, or listen to it wherever podcasts are available. But it is on YouTube under Designing Hollywood. Go there in the latest episode. The costume designer from Ford v Ferrari, from Dark Phoenix, from Logan, Down with Love. I mean, he's an amazing guy. And check that out. So that was a fun thing to do. So that's fun to do as well. And I will be back here tomorrow night for Midnight Metal. So, gentlemen, I will say goodbye to you now. And
goodbye, Rob.
thanks for being here. Thanks for hanging out. And you guys are great. We'll see you tomorrow, or maybe the next day. I will see you later. What a great bunch of dudes. You guys, you're a good audience. All of you. I want to thank you for being the audience that you are. I want to make sure Darth Plato, the official historian of the Burnettwork. I'm going to say that I'm going to bring Midnight Metal 21 to an end. My God, I can't believe I've been doing this show for 21, days. What is that? A month and a half, 6 weeks? I don't know. Anyway, thank you for being here. It's been a lot of fun. And I will say, remember, every person you meet has a story to tell that you have yet to hear. And all you have to do is listen. And with that, I would say to all of you, have a better day. And please join us on the John Campea Show today at 10 a.m. Pacific. Be seeing you.